And welcome back, guys, to the Geekheads channel. I'm Crossroads, here is Knifeby, and we saw Tom Holland's new Uncharted movie yesterday. And, well, like the title, let's talk about it a bit. I will let you start with something.
Yeah, so go a little bit through the movie and pros and cons. And, like, whether we think, for example, there will be a sequel. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I do think they kind of, I think it's successful enough and people liked it enough that they're gonna make a sequel, or that it's worth it. I don't know. Though it may, took them like 20 years to do the first one, so then again, who knows. First things first that I wanna say, I actually really liked it. Much more than I know a lot of other people will have. Like, for example, I heard from my brother that he thought it was like meh or okay. I actually enjoyed it. One valid criticism that I do understand is that the characters, like Nathan and Sullivan, were too young, and I understand that why that would be like criticism, but then again, what I understand, this movie was supposed to be before, or the events of this movie was supposed to happen before the games, which also, on the other hand, doesn't really make sense because it basically copies some scenes from the game. So I don't know, the same thing just happened to them twice. I don't know, exact same things. I don't know about that, but yeah, still, like, I didn't mind it too much. I think that as long as the characters have or as long as it's good actors and they get the essence of the characters right and the personalities, which I think they did good enough job with, especially Tom Holland. I enjoyed his performance. Mark Wahlberg, well, he was a basic Mark Wahlberg, which I think worked pretty well in my opinion. And also, I gotta say, after watching Dragon Ball Evolution as well yesterday, I actually gonna make a reaction video about it, if anyone's interested. After that one, I really cannot be too picky with live action adaptations. So I'm like, as long as the characters feel like they should feel and act like they should act, and as long as they serve the purpose for the movie, and as long as it makes sense, basically, I'm happy with that. Few things that I did like a lot was cinematography. I think was amazing. Of course, they basically stole or straight up took some scenes from the games itself. And my camera is working wonders again.
I guess it will fix it as well. Yeah, but
it will fix at some point. Anyways, and also for the most part, at least, I think the pacing was pretty good, especially like recently with these big movies, blockbuster movies. That's been one of the biggest problems, even with No Way Home or Endgame or with a lot of other movies. So yeah, I think they paced this movie pretty well. It was never like boring to me. Or never, there wasn't really scenes that I thought took too long or was too fast. At least, like, not insanely fast.
Yeah.
And, I actually hope they will make a sequel. I don't know, I just think one of the best ways to go and watch this movie is that it's kind of like a different version of the characters and different version of their story, so don't try to think they're like in the same
universe. It's not not connected that much, of course.
Yeah, it's kind of like different vision of the characters and the story. I think that way you're gonna enjoy it much more when you're not like straight up comparing them that much with the games. You're just enjoying it for what it is. That I usually like to tell people, just that way movies are usually much more enjoyable. So yeah, I think it got the essence of Uncharted game, so I'm gonna give it maybe 8 out of 10. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there was like I like the let me think. The movie was like certainly good. I mean, I'm not so familiar with the Uncharted game franchise. I mean, I know like outlines of it, like what it's about, and some story aspects. So I think for people coming that don't know anything, I think that's a great thing that they didn't. Well, I think it's a great thing that they didn't go with like, oh, this is the like fifth movie or fifth episode for the game story, like or something like new thing. So they kind of got a fresh start. And of course, I think if they implement the stuff from games, like most of the movie here was like many of the stuff was taken from the games. I think it's also gives them more writing freedom in case of future sequels. That's great. Of course, I like the first half of the movie much more than the end. Because it was more of this like, well, it was more realistic, of course. I mean, I'm a huge fan of fiction, but that doesn't mean I don't, it's not that. But the whole thing, like from the start, seems pretty realistic. And when we end up on the boat scene on the end, freaking Parts of the Caribbean, I don't know, Chendu or something flying, I don't know. I mean, I would have expected the ending be something like it went to the ships. But I thought that I would expect the story would have been better if there was like getting rid of most of the characters, in the plane scene, like that.
Yeah.
That would have been okay, but when they go actually find the ships, that would have been again toned down to the like previous level, and then just have fight with the main lady and some of the goons on the cave. So they're like racing to the boats from different ways, like other is just rich and can do it, and other have to go the ancient route of how they actually build it, and just like cut out the ship thing from the end. I mean, that would have been much better. I mean, of course it's like the current modern writing of having the big final battle flashy, but I think movies like these should have the flashiness or the like exciting parts for some other stuff, not like should be. I think it should have been like the plane thing on the middle, a bit longer, and then some other stuff on the caves.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that was a little bit overboard. Also, they kind of, was it Scottish or Irish? I'm sorry, I don't remember. But that guy, they kind of built him up, and his friend also. So those two guys. But then, I wish maybe they should have had a little bit bigger part at the end, instead of having like 50 different guys.
Yeah, for instance, fly off the ships to some ocean million kilometers away. Also, the first part of the movie, which I liked, because the second part had a few logic problems in that sort of sense. Like, just like, wouldn't, because the movie started, like I said, it's more realistic, logical thing, just everything just like quite happens. But then there's like freaking the helicopters and the boats and things. One that really like went me like, who thought about that was I mentioned you after the movie also, the ship anchor thing. The main villain woman drops one of the ship's anchors while it's attached to the helicopter like a few of 300 meters up. I don't think that if it's because it's the ship from like 1500 or something like years. The chain has to be full cast metal, so it's freaking heavy, and the ships probably didn't have. I'm not like really thought about this, but the anchors really haven't been. There's no way the anchors back in then were like 500 meters long, because that will weigh probably more than the fucking ship. Plus the anchor itself, which is freaking heavy. So that was like, I was like, yeah, okay, what the hell? Like, yeah, and then it attached to the bottom of the sea while the helicopter is flying forward, like probably like 60 kilometers an hour. And it's a wooden ship. I would assume the ship breaks before the chain slows the thing down. One of those like really nitpicky things, but you just have to roll with it. Also, there was the weird thing with the CGI on the cave when Nate goes before he finds the ships, when he dives under the like mid part in the cave. Yeah. There's a shot of the like stone wall, water, and some like it's shining under the water, so it just shows that there's a hole. Then there's the emblem that there's like an eye on the wall or something, the stone wall. Like you showed the previous shot, which is a real shot in some under like cave on some coast, which has the nice. It has the real, of course, it's a real cave, so it has the realistic rock-looking things on the background. But then when you go to that shot, it's just an odd shot because there's not even Drake on it. It's just there's a stone wall and light coming under it. That there's a eye logo, and the actual like the quality of that shot was like from the freaking game or something. It was so bad. I mean, that was probably like 2D like rocks. It wasn't even like 3D. With distortion and shit on the rocks, like even they didn't have texture. It was like just picture of stone slapped on multiple objects, just make a stone wall. When you see it was like drip stones and stuff, or like stones dripping from the roof on the previous shot when it's at the actual cave, and it was eroded by water like a long time. So there's like hanging and rough details on the rock and really like sharp edges. And there is just like flat, smooth stone wall. Like it was just it's really one thing. Like you spend so much money on the previous and this type of CGI, but what the hell was that? Like, did you have to rush that shot in or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I really liked going away from the negative things for a moment. I really liked Tom Holland being Nate. I think he fits really well. And well, Mark Wahlberg has a lot of these kind of, I don't know, type of roles. I mean, he does fit. I don't know if he fits well from the game franchise point, but I think the character, I mean, he could have been a bit more serious. Because he's like, I get this Han Solo vibe when watching him, you know. He's like this like reckless, careless dude. He's like, doesn't trust anybody. So I just had one moment on watching the movie. I'm like, he would fit really well as Han Solo in like episode 4 or something if they ever make a remake when he's like this age. But that's a bit more of the character side. Maybe would have went a bit more serious on his character. Of course, he's a guy who he has he lost Nake's brother, or he thinks that he lost in the gunfight. I mean, that would already change somebody's personality. I expect if he's your like good friend and you see him getting shot, then you have to bail out, leave him there. That has some mental bruises for everybody basically. And it doesn't even show on the character like, I'm now taking his brother here and I'm just about the gold. So he doesn't seem, that would make him like maybe more evil character, like a bit more less greedy type, but it doesn't show on the character. It's just so weird. Maybe thing they should have maybe thought about, but I think otherwise the movie was like good. I mean, I would watch the sequel, but it doesn't really hype me up for the sequel. It's just like, okay, good movie, but could be better.
Yeah, there's definitely some room for improvement. I just think it's a fun movie. It's kind of like it's just a fun movie to go watch. I mean, that's I think that's kind of like the meaning of the movie as well. So, I agree with Mark Wahlberg in a sense that he was a little bit too much of just himself, like he usually are in a lot of other roles. Yeah. He could have been a bit more serious, act a bit more wiser in some ways. I don't know. But then again, it's a different version of Sullivan, and I understand the reason why they put him in that role was because like 10 years earlier, when they were still also producing the same freaking movie, but it was completely different movie back then, they were actually he was actually casted as Nathan Drake back then, but now he's too old to act Nathan Drake, so they wanted to put him as Lars Sullivan. So like Lars
Lars Sullivan, yeah. Something different there, yeah.
Yeah, that was somebody almost same. Same. He's he's a Sullivan that went to gym a little bit more. Anyways. Yeah. I mean, like, I understand that perspective, and it's kind of fun that they decided to cast him. But he does look very different, and does also act a little bit different. But I don't mind. I'm like a hardcore fan. I can understand why somebody who has played all the games and is like the biggest fan of the franchise might not enjoy it too much, because you just cannot at that point watch this without comparing it that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have only played a couple of the games, and I haven't finished them. I've only played like 2 and 4 and maybe 3 demo or something. Like few hours of those games, and then I've seen like the gameplay of like full gameplay or story of 4 at least. So like I know about things, but I'm not like a hardcore fan, so I don't really mind too much it being different. I just you know, kind of criticize it for what it is, not what I think it should be. So I enjoyed it. I think it worked well. I had good time watching it, and yeah, I was in a happy mood after getting out of the theater. You know, I enjoyed what and it was worth the ticket cost. So I'm happy. I'm happy with
nothing is really cost of the ticket cost these days. It's so fucking much here, but.
Well, true.
Yeah, but honestly, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's still a movie worth to watch if you really don't have any other good movie that you haven't seen yet. And well, of course, if your even theaters are open, you're reaching, because times are times. Yeah, I mean, let me think of something.
What would you rate it from 1 to 10?
We really should do a video about just rating movies overall, so we will have some baseline. But 1 to 10.
True.
I mean, minus, plus, minus. I guess it will be 6 or 7, maybe closer to 7. But we really haven't made a baseline for these numbers that we use in the reviews. So I cannot really say correctly. This might change the future, but I'll say 7. In a movie quality, I will say also 7, 8. There is still a lot of room for improvement in this thing. Of course, it's a personal opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say 7 or even 8. Maybe we're gonna go still with 7, honestly. But like, I enjoyed the way, like the pacing and the cinematography and acting for most of the actors at least. And nobody was like bad for me. So yeah, there's not a lot to criticize about. So I'm gonna go with 7.5, 7 between 7 and 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts for now. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, I mean, the movie. Yeah, I mean, let's recap this. I mean, the movie is enjoyable action adventure movie. Of course, it's a bit too flashy for my taste in the final fight aspect, of course, but I
have been a bit more down to earth.
I mean, if there was more of that like adventure scene, you know, I really like that type of thing like where you adventure these like maybe hidden places in public, what they did in Italy on the earlier movie, or was it Spain? Then yeah, I mean, if they get more of that, there was the tease of them going after the Nazi treasure on the end credit scenes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would hope that there's no freaking like other that ending scene would be more down to earth type of thing,
Yeah, it's kind of what ended up happening with Indiana Jones movies in a way, like in longer run, like Indiana Jones 4, for example, went totally nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
compared to the
of
first
course,
couple of movies.
of course, the first one. Where was it? The first one, Raiders of the Lost. Yeah, the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Even the ending is bit, the whole movie till that is pretty, awesome, like pretty down there. But then there's they open the casket and there's a freaking ghost or what the hell, demons eating the guys' faces off. Yeah, I mean, I think it has the same issue as this. It's great movie till that point, and then a bit too much. But of course, Indiana Jones kind of fits well because the whole franchise is about kind of these religious things going on. The second is in India, that satanic religion thing, and the third one is about finding the last crusader or the Holy Grail or what the hell are they actually searching in the movie.
But
the
fourth one was like some alien shit.
Yeah, but the fourth one is just it isn't the religious aspect. It's just crazy woman. Well, they in the South America trying to find ancient knowledge, but that's not quite not religious thing. Well, kind of is, but it's still because it's aliens. Then it goes like past beyond stuff. I mean, that's pretty much the movie. So
one thing I also want to add. Actually, now talking about comparing a little bit to Indiana Jones, that they did well with this movie that has always made, I think with the Uncharted games also kind of made them unique, was how it's like was the aspect of you cannot trust anybody. I thought that was interesting throughout the movie, like you don't know who to trust. I think that went very well with the whole adventure story. So that was cool. And I was kind of hoping that Chloe would have, a little bit spoilers maybe, but
it's a review of the movie, so all their spoilers.
Yeah, but like she would have come back a little bit sooner in the end fight and kind of been part of the fight as well. But it's not a big deal. I just thought that would have been kind of cool.
Exactly. Or I would have hoped that was one thing.
At some point.
Yeah.
At some point there would have been like a scene where they are flying the helicopter and the ship, and she's kind of watching with the boat on the other island, like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
That would have been kind of cool. Well, something small like that, but it's just a small little detail. How that's again more like how I would have done it, but
I mean,
it doesn't make the thing worse.
It certainly doesn't. I mean, I would like to add also that I didn't even remember before you mentioned that, like, you can't trust anybody aspect. I think there was a bit too much of that. It's kind of, everybody's betraying each other for back and forth. I mean,
everyone expect Nathan, basically.
Yeah, expect Nathan.
And as well, but like,
and it's like she turns on them basically twice or three times, Chloe, and then the other woman is something that there's aspect of she also flipping jacket on Sullivan, and it's just Sullivan freaking flipping jacket on the other guys, and it's just like everybody's really untrustable on the scene. Like, it would have been better if I think it builds very well the end, of course, that Sullivan after all then trusts Nate and doesn't flip the jacket, at the end. But I think it will have been also a good addition kind of for if they know Chloe flipped, the other side, and then the guy gets killed, and then there should have been something other than then she just goes with Nate. Doesn't like, okay, I'm gonna flip again and go after the treasure myself and fuck you all, and I don't know, it's a bit too much of that.
I feel like I hope they were gonna do that in the sequel with the Chloe redemption. I don't know. But like I can understand her perspective, because it's not that she doesn't trust Nathan, and otherwise she probably wouldn't have, like Nathan said to Sullivan, she probably wouldn't have betrayed them twice, if it wasn't for Sullivan, because he didn't trust Sullivan. That was the problem. And we don't know how how big of a problems they have between those two. So
yeah, there's not.
Like
I
the
mean,
history
I
between
guess if you played the games, there might be something on that, but of course they might be just rewriting the whole thing, so it might not matter. My headset cord got stuck somewhere. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
there might be a few things that we haven't addressed, but you know.
Yeah, we're just gonna we're like coming like we don't have like too much put thought into this. It's kind of like how our feelings, not straight after the movie, but the very next day after watching the movie. So it's still relatively fresh in our minds.
Yeah.
But yeah, and thoughts that I would just say I enjoyed it. Maybe don't compare it too much with the games. Just enjoy it for what it is, and I think it's you're gonna find it enjoyable. I think it's a good movie, and I think it's worth the watch as well. So that's my end thoughts.
Yeah, I want to drop before we end the last thought about the other end credit scene of them Nazi map. There was my crazy theory after the movie that might be connected to the third film on the franchise, not the second. That might be something on the end of the second, because I think they saw somebody outside of the building. That might be the villain for the third, or that might be just Nate's brother.
I expect that to be actually Chloe.
Yeah, or something.
That's what I expect.
Or it might be like, why are you searching that? Well, that might be the starting scene of the second movie, but I think that might just connect somewhere later on, like ending of the second or starting of the third. They just tease, later. Then you go to the second movie. What? That didn't happen. They're doing something else. What? And then you kind of get the feeling already that that's happening on the kind of the third one is about that. But yeah, I think that's it pretty much. Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's it for the video. If you did enjoy, hit the like button. Maybe subscribe if you did enjoy.
Did not enjoy, thank you.
Did not enjoy, then you're probably off already. But if you did enjoy, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more or videos about thoughts about our videos about movies and then also reaction videos to all kinds of stuff, TV shows, movies, etc. And also comment down below what you thought about this movie, if you have seen it, if you haven't seen it, whether you wanna go watch it or not, if you're interested or not. And hope we're gonna see you in our next video, whatever it's gonna be, probably the Dragon Ball Evolution reaction, which I watched so you don't have to. So hope I'm gonna see you there. But
yeah, link to that is in the small photos on the end of the video. So yeah.
Yeah.
Till then.
Yeah. Till then. Bye.